Hello, this is Angie Mako, and I want to welcome you to the February Becoming a Worthy Self-Advocate newsletter. And the title of my video today is, Why Do You Worry So Much? You know, life is difficult. It's hard, and it's actually meant to be. That's normal. Feeling all sorts of emotions is normal. And a lot of us are addicted to our own suffering. We might even try to one-up another person who's telling a sad story and one-up them with our own sad story of suffering. Now, I'm not trying to make fun of suffering. I am trying to say that we can take ourselves and our lives very, very seriously sometimes. And so my message here is to perhaps we need to lighten up a little bit and let's take a look at pain, okay, and suffering. My daughter Maddie, who's going to be 21 soon, she has cystic fibrosis, and she has a lot of fear around physical pain. She's experienced a 33% lung function, which is very challenging and uncomfortable. And so she's fearing what's going to happen to me. She's fearing what the future may hold for her. And, you know, our imaginations can be very creative, and they'll take us down a rabbit hole of all sorts of nightmarish realities. So, of course, she's got emotional pain as well. In fact, that's probably the greater pain, that mental, emotional pain, because she's wondering and she's creating all these what-if scenarios. And for me, personally, I think that I fear probably emotional pain more. An example would be, you know, am I going to watch her suffer and die? Am I going to watch or see my husband die, or my other daughter Chelsea, or my mom, or anyone that I love? This is emotional pain. It's the fear of being blindsided by life, that something's going to happen and it's going to come out of the blue and I'm going to be left alone, suffering, and just in a lot of pain. So pain is a normal part of our lives. Why? I mean, we have it every day. Why are we so hung up on the fact of these other tragedies or things that could happen? Why do we get into that state of such worry and concern and anxiety about the future? And I think it's because our imaginations are so vivid, and we're creating these scenarios in our head of what could possibly happen. But the truth is, we're already in pain. We know what it's like. We're just creating this, oh my gosh, it's going to be such an intense experience of pain, whether physical, emotional, mental, that we start to lose our peace and we let our imaginations run wild. But we're already in pain. So I guess what I want you to think about today, I'm just planting some seeds for you to consider another way of thinking that might be more helpful to you, to have a joyful experience of life rather than a fearful one. What's the new mindset or new perspective that you can take on? And if you think about it, we are constantly inundated with things going on around us in the news and so forth, and it just takes us down this bunny trail of all sorts of possibilities that could happen. So what is we don't control any of that stuff going on around us, but what is a new mindset that we can take on around negative emotion? Because we certainly have enough of it, right? There's anger, there's jealousy, insecurity, disappointment. Oh, that's a big one. And of course, the mother of all of them is fear itself. So what's a new perspective that we can take around emotions? Well, what if you could be okay with all of your emotions and not separate them out like into good or into bad? If you think about it, when we're growing up, we are taught, oh, you shouldn't be angry, you shouldn't be sad, and we are taught that we label emotions based on what's happening, right? Can you relate to that? Well, What if we no longer did that? What if we started to see, well, let me back up. What if you were growing up and when you got upset, something happened and you got upset and your parent came over to you and said, honey, little Susie, you know, emotion and feeling the way you do right now, it's normal. It's okay. Emotion is just a movement of all that energy you have going on. It's just a movement. It's not good. It's not bad. You go ahead and you feel what you're feeling, and we'll continue to talk about this in a few minutes. Tell me how you feel in a few minutes. What if someone approached you like that with emotion and didn't tell you you should or shouldn't feel a certain way? They didn't make a big deal of it. They're just like, oh yeah, that's that negative emotion. It's part of it. I think that we would have a much different experience as adults, don't you? If we didn't take our emotions, especially the negative ones, so darn seriously. I know that I would. But what happens is we identify whatever that emotion is with a label. We label it. And then we tell a story about it. Body sensations, like our bodies, are really similar. When we have a body sensation, pain in our body, and I've tried to talk to Maddie about this too. It's more difficult with body sensations though than it is with emotions, because we are very attached to our bodies. I mean, we're living in them, right? So when we start to feel pain of some sort, we're very attached to that pain, and we do tell a story about it. That shouldn't be there. That shouldn't be happening. Just like a negative emotion, we do the same thing with our bodies. But to start to tell a different story about our body sensations is even harder than it is to tell with our emotions, if you can relate. For example, let's just say you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you get this sharp pain up the back of your spine. Most people are going to freak out about that. They're not going to like that at all. And they're going to get in a state of tensing up and resisting that emotion or that physical sensation. What if instead you saw that just as another movement in your body? I don't know if I want to say movement of energy because that's how I'm defining emotion, but you feel it as a sensation in your body and you don't tell the same scary story about it. Again, much harder challenge, but it is possible. People do this. And then what happens? That pain tends to dissolve. The emotion, same thing, tends to dissolve. So I'm going to make sure I'm covering all the points here. So my challenge to you is next time you start to have a negative emotion, which we have them all day, right? Instead of freaking out and are panicking about it and saying, oh my gosh, I shouldn't feel that way. What if instead you just said to yourself, that's just a movement of energy. Now I know at first it won't be experiential, it'll just be more of a practice, but you got to start somewhere. So if you would just say, that's just a movement of energy. I've always labeled it as anger, but what if I just realized that it's just a movement of energy? I'm okay. The movement's okay. It's normal to feel angry. It's normal to feel fearful. It's normal to feel depressed. It's normal to feel whatever, sadness, jealousy, insecure, whatever that emotion is. Just say, oh, this is normal, and not take ourselves so seriously. I wonder what would happen to that emotion. Well, I want to encourage you to try this and see what happens. See what happens with that emotion. Does it dissipate? Does it kind of go away a little more quickly? Now, is our objective to have it go away? I mean, for a lot of people, they'd say, yeah, I don't want to feel negative emotion. That's fine. If that's where you're starting, it's like, yeah, I don't want negative emotion. Who wants negative emotion? We have techniques designed to get rid of negative emotion. And all I'm going to say about that is that there's another way to look at this. And that is, don't try to push negative emotion away. It is a normal part of the human experience, just like breathing. And so I'm going to suggest don't try to push it away. Accept it, embrace it. I know it's hard. This is a challenge. When you do that, what in essence you are doing is you are accepting life on life's terms. You're realizing that you are okay as you are. Everything's chill. We're not going to get all dramatic. I mean, sometimes we might. Sometimes we might. What I'm saying is we can be dramatic. That's fine. It's one of our human ego needs is to be dramatic. I mean, we love drama. If anyone has ever watched Shameless, you know what I'm talking about. We thrive on a lot of emotion. It's the soundtrack to the human experience. There's nothing wrong with human emotion. It's what I'm trying to suggest is that you be okay with that drama. It's kind of contradictory. It may sound a little contradictory to say, oh, have all the drama you want. Just don't take it so seriously. Put it in the framework or the context as if you were watching a movie and you're watching that movie unfold and you're loving the drama. You know, whenever you watch a really, really good movie or read a really excellent book and you say, oh my God, I loved that. That was awesome. Why is it that you usually say that? Isn't it because it got your emotions stirred? It got you feeling something. That's a good thing. So I'm not trying to say get rid of all that. I'm saying just feel it. Don't resist it if you can. And be okay with it. So this is a new perspective. And I think what will happen organically and without force is that you'll stop worrying so much about things. So I want to say thank you so much for listening. And until next time, take excellent, excellent care of yourself and be blessed. Bye for now.